Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, एरिस्टोटल ने ये बोला है। और उसके साथ हम लोग शुरू कर रहे हैं, ट्रीट योरसेल्फ लाइक द मोस्ट प्रेशियस थिंग इन योर लाइफ। आप ही आपके जीवन का सबसे महत्वपूर्ण और प्रेशियस चीज हो। और इसको हम बोल सकते हैं आत्म तृप्ति या आत्मरथी। उसको बोलने के लिए हम पहले थोड़ा जानते हैं कि सेल्फ रेगुलेशन बिफोर सिचुएशन मैनेजमेंट। अभी हम कोई काम करने के टाइम जब जाते हैं, इमीडिएट वी काइंड ऑफ क्रेव टू रिएक्ट ऑन सर्टेन सिचुएशन, बट व्हाट सेल्फ रेगुलेशन इज सेइंग दैट पॉज बिफोर if we can respond. So if we regulate our maybe silence, maybe breathing, maybe thoda bahut meditation, or sometimes withdrawal from that situation, we can lead to the situation in a much more righteous way. जेम्स ग्रॉस का एक प्रोसेस मॉडल ऑफ इमोशन रेगुलेशन एक थियरी है, जहां पे उसने बोला है कि हम लोग 5 तरीके से कोई इमोशन को मैनेज करता है, जैसे सिचुएशन सिलेक्शन, मॉडिफिकेशन, अटेंशन, कॉग्निटिव चेंज एंड देन रिस्पॉन्स। हम जितना ये पहले 4 में टाइम बिताएंगे, उतना हमारा काम अच्छा होगा, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कम होगा, बर्नआउट कम होगा। ये एक चीज हम दिमाग में रख सकते हैं। दूसरा एक चीज है विच इज इनर डिटॉक्स बिफोर आउटर एक्शन। अभी ये डिटॉक्स को हम बहुत तरीके से कर सकते हैं, जैसे मैंने बोला कि साइलेंस के साथ ब्रीदिंग, मेडिटेशन, विथड्रॉल, और आजकल जो बहुत इजी है समझने के लिए कि कम से कम मोबाइल बंद करके रखूं, ये जितना वेस्टेज हमारे अंदर ना लूं, वो भी एक बड़ा attempt hoga towards inner detox.
The first and foremost thing that we need to keep in mind as entrepreneurs, as leaders, is, if you remember, we explored Swadharma, we explored Nishkam Karma earlier. So we're now taking the discussion to the next level. You would have heard a very important statement that if you love what you do, then you will do what you love. Okay, so that's a very old, interesting statement. Is it possible? Is it not possible? Is it very difficult or is it not very difficult? Is a question that has haunted me for a number of years. Because, it's nice, to tell people that I do what I love and I love what I do. But is it really something that can happen? Is it something that can really take place? It's a big challenge, okay, in the entire world. And the challenge that you have in the world is, how do you actually make sure that this aspect can be brought in on a day-to-day basis? Day-to-day work is extremely stressful. Clients, customers, suppliers, vendors, associates, people, employees. Things don't work the way things are supposed to work. Somebody or the other is not going to be delivering, something that they're supposed to be delivering. Now, what do you do in that case? So, in the Bhagavad Gita, we have a very interesting concept called Shrama and Ashrama. What is Shrama? Shrama is when you look at your work as a chore and you want to do it because आपको ये करना ही है। जब आपके सिर पे कोई बंदूक रखा है और बोलते हैं कि ये काम आपको करना ही पड़ेगा, तो फिर it becomes Shrama. Challenge is, how can we get that feeling that ये अगर मैं काम नहीं करूंगा, ये काम नहीं होगा, तो मुझे बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स हो जाएंगे जिंदगी में। अभी मुझे वहां से निकल के अश्रमा पे पहुंचना है। ओके, अश्रमा इज अ स्टेट ऑफ द माइंड that this is not causing any stress as far as I'm concerned. We need to get to that particular state where we're actually saying this is not going to cause any stress as far as I'm concerned. कोई आसान नहीं है, मुश्किल है। The Bhagavad Gita teaches us a very, very interesting concept. And this is a concept called Atma Tripthi and Atma Rathi. This is a shloka that appears in chapter 3, that is shloka number 17. It has a very interesting concept. It says, Atmanyeva cha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidhate. It means very simply that can you get to a state of your mind by which you are completely engrossed in what you're doing, and you're extremely happy with who you are and what you do. Because if you can get to that state of mind, then no work should cause you any kind of stress. So to do that, we are introduced to two very interesting concepts. One is Atma Tripthi and the other is Atma Rathi. The beauty of the Bhagavad Gita, Gautamji, is not only is there a concept, but there is a practical way in which you can apply that particular concept. So I said, Atmanyeva Santushta, that you've got to be happy. Now, Atma is not soul and all that stuff. It's much more. Atma is really something within you. Your core is your Atma. Okay. So how can you be completely satisfied with your core? So we've got two beautiful ways in which it is done. One is Atma Rathi and the other is Atma Tripthi. So what does Atma Tripthi mean? Atma Tripthi primarily means that you are completely satisfied in what you're doing. Remember last week we talked about Nishkamka. How do you get to that situation where you're so completely engrossed in what you're doing? You're so focused on the action that you need to be doing. And because you are giving your best at this point of time, whatever you are doing, your satisfaction, your happiness is extremely high, because I know that I am giving my best as far as this particular activity. The last 44 years of my life have been spent on figuring out how we can get this philosophy, this learning into a practical application. So let's say you're preparing a pitch deck for VC funding. Obviously, your mind, is full of thoughts. Will they buy? Will they not buy? Will they invest? How much will they invest? How much will they negotiate? So your mind is full of those kinds of thoughts, which is absolutely normal. But if you were to say now, I am going to give my best in preparing this pitch deck, because this is my company, this is my idea, and I'm so passionate about what I'm doing right now on this specific idea. And if I were to give my very best at that point of time, then I am going to be satisfied that I have given my best. Does this mean that this is the best pitch deck ever? No. It only means that I have given my best at this point of time in preparing my pitch deck. Okay, so this is point number one. So this is Atma Tripthi. So can you as a leader, can you as an entrepreneur keep getting the team and yourself to focus on this fact, that our task right now in whatever we are doing is to make sure that we give our best to this particular task, and therefore we are completely satisfied that we have given our best to this task. Let me give you another example. I was in a barista yesterday, and I saw that young person making coffee. And there was so much of love that she was bringing into everything that she did. The way she took the cup and the way she kind of, though it's a clean cup, the way she kind of polished that cup and the way she held it there and the way she made sure that that cream was making some designs and the way she presented that cup of coffee to me. Now, this is Atma Tripthi at work. The young girl at a barista, possibly, doing a gig job as a side hustle to earn some money. Once you get to that stage of Atma Tripthi, you then move on to the next stage, which is Atma Rathi. Now, what is Atma Rathi? Atma Rathi is when you rejoice in what you're doing. So, how do you completely get into that mode of rejoicing in what you do? So, the smile with which you offer this cup of coffee to your customer, this genuine happiness that you get when the customer looks at you, takes a sip and says, fabulous. That is when you rejoice. Now, when she served that cup of coffee to me, she had another 4 or 5 people who were working with her. And when I praised her, all those 4 or 5 people working there were also extremely delighted and happy that this person got praised. for serving this coffee. Can you create an enterprise like that, in which every employee in the enterprise, every person on that team is going to rejoice and enjoy in what is being done by everybody else? So, two immediate action points. One, help the team focus, completely focus on what they want to be doing at that point of time. So, how do you get there? If you don't start treating yourself that I am the most precious person in my life, as a leader, if you can start getting this thought into every one of your people, that you are the most precious person in your life, there is nobody more precious than you are. That is when you are slowly but surely helping people get to that Atma Tripthi and Atma Rathi. The first thing is to completely create that feeling in the enterprise that, listen, you are the most important person in the enterprise. You're the most precious person in your entire life. And if you can get there, then you're going to get to the state of Atmanyeva Santushtaha, that I am completely happy with who I am, because I believe that I am the most precious person in my life. Does it mean that I will not spend time in becoming better and improving myself? No, life is a continuous learning.
Daniel Kahneman, in his dual process theory, he said that there is a system 1 and system 2. And system 1 is basically fast, intuitive, automatic, emotional response we kind of give to any situation or any work. And system 2 is slow, deliberate, logical, and effortful. So basically what you are saying is we have to be little slow, little deliberate, little logical, and effortful to act on any work, control our impulses, and then we will be in a right mode to do the work or running the business. Because self-nurturing is a collective responsibility. It is not selfish, rather it is a societal service. Next episode, we will talk about surround yourself with empowering influences. In Bhagavad Gita term, satsang and loka sangraha.